Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SavvyCast. This is Jamie, and I'm thrilled that you're here today, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. Okay, today is going to be a little different. I have got two young men who are very important to me. I consider them sort of like my sons. I don't know if they would reciprocate the feeling toward me, but today I have got with me two brothers, Jackson Moore and Anderson Moore. And I'm going to let them tell you where they're speaking from. They're zooming in, but let me just give you, first of all, guys, thank you for being here, Jackson and Anderson.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate the
of
opportunity
course.
to talk to you.
I just want to start first. We're just going to kick off the way I kick off every podcast, and then I'm going to tell everyone how I know you all. What would you all choose as your last meal?
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be super picky. Any sort of pasta or home cooked meal. I mean, I could probably do something like that. If you gave me a long time to decide, I'd maybe come up with a more specific answer, but something like that. I'm pretty simple.
I think I would have to go with like a burger from my dad, but like on the skillet. He cooks them in like 7 minutes, but they're honestly like one of the best things I could think of, like on the spot or whatever. And then
Yeah, I
they're
feel like
like,
you got pretty good at cooking burgers like during the COVID
he's kind of unreal
period. I
at
think
it.
that's when he
So
started doing it.
And your dad, George, who I love your parents, George and Beth, is he doing a smash burger? Because I can't imagine a skillet burger being better than a
it's
grilled
not.
burger.
He like doesn't touch it like at all. He gets like a patty and then puts it on. It's like seven.
Well, I will ask, I'll be
Cut that, Allie.
texting
Cut
Beth or
that.
George to find out because I love burgers, but I always
Mhm.
lament that I can't really grill them. And I didn't think there was a way to make them really good. So I'll be checking with George and Beth. But okay, I just want to let everyone know who you all are and why I invited you all on the podcast. So anyone who maybe has followed me, I've been doing Family Savvy since 2011, starting in, let's see, okay, these are brothers, and Jackson is the oldest of four. No, Patrick, George.
But it's George. He's the oldest. Then Pat, and we're all 2 years apart. For reference, there's George, Pat, then me, and then Anderson. So that's the order in which we were birthed.
Okay, so four boys, and you two brought up the tail end of the last two. And when I was just in the beginning of my Instagram journey and was filming content, you all went to Briarwood, where all of my girls went, Briarwood Christian School. So we all ran in sort of the same circles. We knew everyone knew everyone. Jackson, you started, and both of you had access to the camera at Briarwood, the big, nice camera. So you started filming content for the blog and for Instagram, and you were with me for 3-ish years until you graduated. And then Anderson, the baby of the family, took over and filmed for me until he left to go to where he is now, from where he is filming, and that is Georgetown. And y'all are just super important, not only to me, but to my brand. And I just think there's a lot that I want to ask you all to share because, as the parents, Zane and I have had this conversation before, as the parents of three girls, we're always very observant about boys and how they're raised. And we zero in when we see good boys, just steady, solid boys. And not only are both of you that, your brothers are that, and your family, you're just rock solid. And in today's culture, that really is a little bit of an exception than the rule, especially currently where we are right now. So I just have some questions for you all. But first, Jackson, since you're older, just after you graduated, you went to Lynchburg, and now tell what you do. And then Anderson, you tell us what you're up to.
I went to a small school in Virginia, and then now I'm working full time at a company kind of in the Baltimore area.
And you do basically professional photography, videography for sports.
Yeah, kind of in sports, specifically lacrosse. I do photography, videography. I do social media content, which, working for Jamie all those years was helpful in kind of developing that skill and a lot of other skills I'm doing. I do graphic design, all that stuff. So I kind of just do a bunch of stuff in media for my company. That's currently what I'm doing.
That's great. And Anderson,
Yeah, so I graduated from Briarwood last year, in 2023, and then I'm now at Georgetown in DC, and I'm playing lacrosse. So
you got a
that's
full
kind of
scholarship in lacrosse.
it's not true. I don't have a full scholarship, but I
He's
am
got a
on
good
scholarship, but I am playing lacrosse. So
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're the number one goalie in the United States. I know you hate it when I do this, but is that correct?
no, I mean, technically going into the spring, they ranked me. They put me in the number 2 goalie. So can you believe that? It's over.
You're great at lacrosse. You're one of the best goalies ever.
He's one of the best goalies in his class.
I'm
There
one
are a
of
lot of great
I'm one of
goalies
the
in
best
college
goalies
lacrosse.
of all. Yes, that no.
Okay,
I'm not one
got
of the
it.
best
You're one of
goalies
the
ever,
best.
Jake.
He's
Right,
not the
got it.
greatest goalie ever to exist. He's one of the best. He's a top ranked goalie in his class, and he's playing well in Division 1.
I'm the best goalie in the world. I remember you put that
Judge.
on your story one time. I
Yeah.
thought best
those-
goalie in the
Bit
world works for
hyperbolic, but
Jamie Torrance.
he's a good goalie.
Well, you know what? I'll say it, and I know, and y'all know I'm just very, I just say things, and I know y'all are used to it. You've worked with me so you two. I mean, I've always said, and I even ran into your mom at Walmart, and I said, I feel like I'm the gatekeeper. I feel like I'm going to be the one through whom you find eventually a wife, because I'm, sort of got my radar out and real protective. But anyway, we'll see what that. I know y'all are not even thinking about that. But let's get into your family, your brothers. Y'all are just. I would venture to say, if I asked Beth, and I think I did ask her once, if y'all ever gave George and Beth, your parents, a day of trouble, and as I recall, she said no. Not day of trouble doesn't mean like didn't get into little trouble, but no major trouble your whole high school or junior high. Is that accurate?
I would say we gave our parents trouble, but I wouldn't say like there was no like police called on us or anything severe, if that's what you're getting at. But we certainly have fun with our parents and each other, getting into trouble, if that makes sense.
I don't want to sound like a robot, and it's not like I didn't have fun, but no, we're not like a concern whenever we like go hang out with our friends or
Yes,
anything like that. Like they
if that's
trust
the
us.
question you're asking.
Yeah, they never got a call in the middle of the night, hey, they're in a ditch or they're at the police station or
No.
they've been caught with this or that. Okay. I know y'all are young and that's, to y'all probably not a big deal, but that's a big deal to parents. That's the goal. Parents just want their kids to do well in school, get out, stay out of trouble, and make something of themselves. And that's what y'all have done. And that's just want to pick apart a few things about how you grew up. You had four boys, and of course, George, the firstborn, is definitely what I would call an overachiever or a high achiever. Would you just tell where he went and where he is now?
Sure. So our oldest brother, George, he graduated from West Point, the United States Military Academy. Same year I graduated from high school. So 2021, he graduated from there, and now he's an officer in the Army. He just recently
I have no
finished
idea what
up
his rank
Ranger
is.
school, and yeah, so that's what he's doing. He's an officer, right, Andy?
I think it's like a second lieutenant or
Yeah,
something.
he's
like that.
some
I don't
title
really know.
that.
And I know he came over here on a few occasions, I think, to maybe bring something or pick up Anderson or do something, and just polite, just squared away. He was on SGA with one of my or both of my girls in high school, and it just stellar. Would you all say, because I know y'all's grades were always, you were always honor society, correct? You never struggled with your grades. Was that did that come naturally or was that expected of you? And you just, did you have to work at it or did it just come naturally? And
I'd say
Anderson, by the
for
way,
me-
you are National Honor Society, correct?
Yeah, Jackson, you were National Honor
Yeah, I was in
Society
there too.
Oh, okay. Both of you. Okay.
Yeah, so I'd say for me, school is always something that kind of came naturally to me, but it wasn't like I was like slacking off, like because I know kids that like could do that, like kind of slack off and then they'd just be fine for the test. I don't think that was me. I'd say it came naturally, but it wasn't like something I could just like I was never really like chill about like my grades. Like I took school seriously enough and then I was smart enough to like get by on my own with some things. I wouldn't say it was like necessarily a struggle or anything like that. It was just like I worked at it and I saw results. So it was like I just put an effort and I got
Well, and you were
results.
not
It
going
wasn't
to,
like anything.
you knew you weren't going to take home bad grades, correct? I mean, that was just not going to
Yeah.
happen. And same with you, Jackson?
Yeah, I would say I don't know if the word like naturally is the right word to use here. Like school came naturally. I think the expectation was always to be a good student, and that only that continued into college. But in high school, like I certainly wasn't like a valedictorian or anything, but I got good grades. And there were subjects like I was very and still am very like writing oriented, like those type of classes. I was good in writing. History I struggled a bit more like in the math and science, although like science was a bit easier. Math was definitely my weakest area. But yeah, I mean, and if any of us got a bad grade, our parents were like, no one ever like got like super upset with us. It's just I guess the expectation was just to try your best, and then going into college, I'm sure Anderson could, I don't know if you want to ask about this, but I'm sure Anderson could touch a bit more on that. I actually felt that I became a better student in college for a variety of reasons, and not in any braggadocious way. I just like that stuff continued to build, and then in college, it's like now it's it was always serious, but now it's a bit more serious. Like you should really take it seriously, and that helped me through that process.
I'd say
Anderson?
I'm kind of like the flip side of like Jackson was like I was like probably better at math and science, and then I was good at history because it was mostly just like memorization, but like the writing side of whatever that was never really my strong suit. And then like getting to college, like first semester, just the amount of writing that I had to do for my classes was something that was a little overwhelming, but it was like something that I definitely needed. It was kind of like a wake up call, like, oh, you're gonna have to write.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's just like a time management thing. I think
Yeah.
it's just sitting down and writing.
Well, and I will say both of you were in sports. You were very busy. You were in cross country, Jackson, and probably some other things I'm not aware of.
I did cross country and track. Those were my sports, and then I did all the video stuff.
And then you
That took
videoed
up
for
that took up a lot of my time, and then I would
yes.
for you
And
on the
then you
weekends.
worked for me on top of that. So you were constantly busy.
And we had a like lawn mowing business.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, y'all were, and then Anderson, you were lacrosse travel and just busy with that. You worked for me. You also cut grass. So where did y'all get that work ethic? Were you working to make money or were you working to stay busy? Why were you so dedicated to working instead of saying, hey, I really want a break this weekend?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I guess we could talk about where the work ethic came from, but like why I was working all the time, not super sure. I didn't have like, not in any like super bizarre way, but I didn't have like a massive social life. Like when I did cross country, that was kind of my social hour, and then everything else was doing video or working or whatever.
For me, it was like I kind of inherited whatever Jackson had or like whatever, like especially the lawn business. I think that's something like George started. He like cut lawns for our neighbors or whatever. And I remember before Jackson like left, he was like, just don't screw like if you screw this up, like you're kind of like a failure. If I did like a bad job, it was like you're making our family look bad because all of our brothers had done this before. So it's
Oh,
kind of like there's a little bit of like there's an expectation for how it's supposed to be done, and then I'd have to live up to that expectation. And then like working for you again, it was just like working for Jackson. I knew I probably wasn't as talented at his job as maybe he was, just because I'm not as maybe professional, but it was like show up on time, do your work, like just don't screw it up, basically.
yeah.
So
And
yeah,
y'all were, I will say, I never worried once. And I don't think in all the years, I don't think there was one time that you called and said, hey, I'm sorry, I can't come. If you said you were there, you were there. You stayed until, I needed it, unless you had to be somewhere. I mean, I just never, you were dependable. I never worried. And then that leads me to your next. A lot of times I know I can't as much remember you Jackson leaving to go to D group, but Anderson, a lot of times you would work and then go straight to D group, which was like your youth group. What kept you all spiritually connected when it got on into your high school, when you probably could have just said, I don't want to go, and stayed home or done something else?
I think for me, I kind of thought like I knew I needed to go because like a lot of times, especially with lacrosse, it was really hard because like you travel on the weekends and then like I'd end up watching church online, and that's like it's like okay, but you're not really connected. And I think I liked D groups the most just because I could just talk to other people. Like it was very interactive. I could talk about like my problems and we could like look at scripture or whatever. So that was something that like I wanted to talk to people while I was in like when you're online or like you're sitting in church, it's like maybe I can't really talk. So D groups was never really something that was like I didn't want to go because I did like the people in my group. I probably wasn't like the tightest with them, just
Mhm.
because it was like a lot of them went to different schools and everything. But they were like I should probably text my D group leader, but like they were people I respected and they brought great like insight. So it was something that I wanted to go to. So.
And so you were basically choosing your friends and your peers wisely. Did you have that same experience in youth group or church?
I'd say my main friend group was always at school. I tried a D group for a variety of reasons. Um, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. I wouldn't say I connected with them super well. So my friend group was always in cross country. Those were the people that I enjoyed hanging around with. If I'm being honest, I mean, nothing ill on those people that I was
Sure.
around. Just that's my opinion.
And the cross country crew, because Emma was in part of those years, that's a good group of kids. I mean, they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, we were a little like silly to not in any disparaging way, but it's like, we were so stupid. But yeah, I mean, it was a kind of a smaller team. It's not like the football team where there's like 70 guys out there. It's like 10 or so guys, and then you had the girls team. So yeah, it was a good experience, and Coach Margine is a great guy, a great coach. I enjoyed my cross country experience for the most part, and George ran cross country as well when he was in high school, and I'd say the best thing about I mean I wasn't particularly like super fast or anything. My 5K time was like it's not all that great. But my coaches, especially I feel like especially Coach Parker, she kind of set up a foundation for like a love of like actually running that I still have to this day. That was probably one of the best things about running cross country with her as a coach.
Yeah, she was awesome. And I will say, I think it's, and I don't know if it's every high school, but there's sort of an aura sometimes of, the football players are the cool ones, or the basketball or whatever. And to me, that's a bunch of bunk, because to me, some of the sports that build, I mean, I think those sports are fine, but the sport like cross country and the endurance and I mean, wow. Because I mean, we watched Emma and we made her stick with it because we knew what lesson it was teaching her about life. And then in lacrosse, the same. I mean, I just think, did you ever feel that your sport was less appreciated or respected? Or did you just feel like, I mean,
Specifically at our school.
in school, yeah.
I do. And
Hmm.
I don't care at all. Like
Yeah.
it's not like anyone's like directly mean to the cross country team, but
Hmm.
we're our team, the baseball team is their team. The football team, obviously football's huge in America and especially the South,
Yeah.
especially Alabama, high school
Yeah.
football. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a whole like documentary in the early 2000s on the Hoover football team, like, and they were like superstars. I forget what it's called, but like
Um, uh, D, oh, y'all, what was it called? It's the type of practice you do.
yeah, I forget what it's called. We could look
Yeah.
it up later.
Anyway,
Um,
6 a days, 6 a days, 2 a days.
yeah, I think two a days might be it. Hoover football documentary. I feel like it was like 2003. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, the
Two
football team,
days.
like,
Two
what'd you say?
days. Yeah, 2 days.
2 days.
Sweet. Go watch it or don't. I don't care. But yeah, like football is obviously like a big part of Alabama. So and it's
Mhm.
also kind of a united for any high school, at least any high school that has it. Actually, it doesn't matter if your team's decent or not or really good. It's always a uniting part of kind of the culture down there. So, you know, a cross country meet isn't that interesting. So I wouldn't like I don't care about that. But I'd say that to kind of go back to your point on how tough the sport is or whatever, cross country, I'd say every sport and every physical discipline has its own. I mean, any discipline actually, if we want to broaden the
Yeah.
horizon of the question a bit more, but staying in sports, any sport or physical discipline has, the lessons that it teaches you, and a lot of them kind of intersect
Mhm.
in the same ways. So people look at cross country or endurance run, they think, oh, I could never do that. It's so hard. I run out of breath. But the same goes the other way. If you put a cross country kid on the football team, they're gonna get destroyed because the way you train your body is different
Yeah.
for the task at hand. So I think that sort of comparative outlook on sports and certainly there's all the social clicky stuff that goes on in high school, some more than others. I wouldn't say it was that bad at our high school, but yeah, I don't think the comparative nature of it is super helpful because whether it's Division One lacrosse, high school football, anyways, I'm rambling, but you kind of get the point I'm
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, well, I wanna ask y'all because I know you all have got lots to do, but I just wanna ask y'all because I don't think either of you really dated in high school, which my husband and he and I were talking about this. He said his mom was very instrumental. She steered him away from that, and his parents were very intentional about trying to keep him busy with, sports. He worked like y'all just because they knew that at the juncture of life, that would be a big distraction to take away from some important things. What did y'all have because I know Briarwood would set up things like you would have these dances that people would go to. Did you ever have a burning desire to date in high school? And if not, or if so, why?
I don't really think like for most of high school, I probably didn't. It wasn't something I was interested. There was probably like instances where I like was just because it was just like the unknown. It was never something like I was always busy with lacrosse or like anything like that. And then like I commit to Georgetown and I know I'm gonna go off to school somewhere. And George dated long distance, and that's like the one thing he told me before college is just like don't date a girl long distance. But like I'd go on dates in high school, but I never dated anyone. Like it never really got like that serious.
Mhm.
So yes, the desire was there, but it was always just like I could never really take this that seriously. So and I was always like I was probably too busy half the time too. So it was like, is
Yeah.
this really worth it? Like I kind of want to like experience this to say like I have some idea of like what's going on, but it was never to the point of like it was never really that serious for me.
Right. Jackson?
Yeah, kind of branching off Anderson. I didn't particularly have a huge desire to date in high school.
Why did you choose just not really to devote a lot of time to dating or pursuing a girl in high school?
I think part of it was, I mean, first of all, I wasn't super interested in it throughout high
Mhm.
school. I was concerned with doing video stuff for whatever reason. I was on the sidelines. I mean, basically, I worked throughout high school, so like on the
Mhm.
weekends when I guess people would be more social, which I'm not disparaging or anything. That is beneficial in its own way. You could argue to what degree or another, but that's a conversation for another time, I guess. But I was on the sidelines on Friday nights and then working with you on the
Yeah.
weekends usually. So that was part of it, and I just wasn't very interested and wasn't noticing all the dating stuff.
Well, I want to ask you all now, and Jackson, you're in a different because you're professional. You're not in school. You're self-supporting and you're older. So I'm going to ask you first. At this stage in your life, what part does dating or the idea of pursuing a woman play in your world now? How does that look?
It's still pretty much the same. Basically zero. I'm basically just working all the time. It's very honestly a similar story to high school. My weekends are working. my weekdays are working. And by the way, I don't say that in like a, oh, I hate to go to work. Like I really enjoy my job and I like what I'm doing, and I'm making money at a younger age than probably most,
Mm-hmm.
which feels nice. And going back to like the spending my weekends and even weekdays sometimes working for Jamie and doing all the athletic stuff, and I even like shot plays, basically investing all that time into that side of things and craft the thing I was interested in and had an opportunity to pursue is gotten, among other things, has gotten to me to where I am now, which is like doing a job that I really like at a young age. So I'm just kind of continuing to put
Pour into
coin,
your,
yeah, throw coins in that bucket, whatever the, right analogy would be for that. Currently dating has very little capital on my mind space. I don't know, whatever you would
oh,
say there.
sure. Yeah, and you're still young. Anderson, what about you?
I think a lot of that, like the desire to date, is kind of like who you're friends with. So it's like I found in like high school, I had like my friends at Briarwood, which weren't nearly as social. And then I had like my best friend went to Mountain Brook and I'd hang out with him. And they were a lot more like, "Oh, let's go hang out like this night or do whatever." And I think like it's kind of like that group. Like I found when I hung out with my friends from Mountain Brook and like Stutz or whatever. Stutz is my friend. It was like from Mountain Brook, yes. That's kind of like you're more interested just because you're like going out more and you're most social. But like at this point in my life, yeah, I'd probably like to date someone, but I'm not going there like running around searching for that person because I find that to be an unsuccessful method. So I'm just kind of you just kind of live and then you wait for things to happen, and then if they happen, that's good. But I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm hunting. Hunting's the wrong word, but like
Yeah.
actively searching for like a girlfriend.
Yeah, well, and you're a freshman and you've got,
Mhm.
you've got a degree to finish and you've got lacrosse, both of you. And just for those out there, I'm just curious because I don't have sons and I do have sons-in-law and they chose my daughters that I think are excellent. Can you describe when you do decide, hey, I think you start looking for that girl. What qualities are you looking for in a young woman that you would like to date, that you would consider building a relationship with?
I think like they definitely like they have to be a Christian, and that's like something I didn't really encounter when I was at home. Like it was kind of
You were in a sea of Christians. You were at a Christian
yeah,
school.
it was like I went to a Christian school, like that wasn't really an issue. And then I come to school here and it's like
A lot
not
of
everyone is.
diversity.
And you kind of have to like ask that question and it's like it's a little awkward, but I think that's definitely like the number one thing. And I don't know if there's any like specific qualities. Like I wouldn't really care if she like worked or anything like that. Like I don't know if I would care at this point in my life. She's a Christian. I'm attracted to
Christian.
her. She's a nice girl.
So if you are looking for a nice girl, you said you want a Christian. Is that your one of your desires as well, Jackson? That you find a Christian girl that has that value system?
I'd want a girl who shares similar convictions or beliefs or worldviews as myself, because it just makes things more difficult when you have clashing worldviews. Among other things, worldview would certainly be one I'd want to match up with. But to be honest, I'm not entirely, because I haven't spent much time looking, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know entirely what I'd be looking for. I guess you'll know if you see it, or maybe you won't. It's no guarantee.
One word answer from both of you. Do you foresee that one day you will pursue a woman, marry, and have a family? Okay, so yes
Yes. Yes.
to you, Anderson, Jackson.
Uh, Probably, and yeah, more than likely. The family part, like, I'm not made up my mind on. I see both sides of it. I could see that being a desirable thing. I could also see it being something that I wouldn't want. I'm super young and I don't know
Yeah,
yet.
y'all are both
As far as
young.
like having kids, having a partner or wife or whatever you want to call it, like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'd probably want that eventually.
Yeah, but y'all are young. That's true. Now, I do want to wrap it up by asking you, What is your best advice to young boys in high school or just about to start college? Things that maybe you could say that might help them just have a better college experience or just journey into their next endeavor past high school. What's your best advice?
I think the first thing, like my dad told me, just like going into college was you got to learn how to prioritize your time and like kind of different sections of like time, and it might not be this like massive block at the end of the day. So like time management is something, and then I think like more socially, I think you kind of have to like you might not know where you stand on like a lot of things when you go into college, but just kind of having an idea of like you believe, so you're not just like getting wishy-washy with like every new idea that comes across your plate. Not that it's like bad to experience new things. I think it's great, but I don't think it's like you can't accept everything you hear in college as kind of like fact, just because a lot of it is there's so many different things, and it's like it's going to be hard. So a lot of college is like kind of discovering what you believe, but also I think kind of coming in to college with not necessarily you don't have to have it all figured out, but I think just some sort of foundation has been beneficial to me to kind of I don't know
Just
not
know where
be
you stand in your
yeah.
values. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple things. I'd say, and this is something I've been, I guess I've recognized, but I've certainly noticed it a bit more now in the past year or two, which is to kind of take advantage as much as you could of every opportunity that you're presented with, whether it's your fault or not. But if you decide to go to college, I mean, this applies to your entire life. But if you decide to go to college, or you decide to go to trade school, or you decide to work straight out of high school, or whatever your path in life is, which is different for everyone. Although a lot of people tend to go to college, is to be aware of the opportunity that you're being given, or that you find yourself in, whether that's college or trade school. I don't need to repeat that, but whatever it is, I found that in college, I tried to, I mean, it's a day by day battle, first and foremost, but I tried to make the most of the time that I had there. But you'll go through college, and you'll notice people who don't go to class, don't do this,
Mhm.
don't really do their homework, and sure, college itself is an experience, and there's a lot to learn there, but also you're paying for it, or someone's paying for you to go, and so you not that like you need not that you're expected to be perfect at whatever, but kind of sink your teeth into whatever opportunity, internship. That's what I'd say, and I mean that's what I'm trying to do in my job now, because I know like there will be a day where I move on to something else, more than likely. I don't know when that is, but I'm trying to make the most of the opportunity that I have right now.
Yeah. Seize the opportunities when they present themselves.
Also go into these opportunities, into whatever the next, if we're talking to young people here, young men or women, go into the next opportunity of your life with an open mind. I would say be willing to challenge what you thought you knew about the world, because there are, like Anderson said, there are a lot of ideas out there, and you need to there are certain foundational things, whatever that is for you. But I would go out there and be willing to challenge those things, and make sure that like you're in the right space, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different
Test.
ways to say that, but
Yeah.
that'd be my brief other
That
piece of
that's
advice.
that's good. We're all growing and evolving in our convictions and our beliefs. And there is a truth, but yeah, we're all on a journey. But okay, well, we're gonna end on two fun questions, and then I'll let you all go. Do you have any funny, or it doesn't even have to be funny, just if somebody says, okay, what's the most prominent memory just of something, incident, could be happy, sad, funny, of the time you spent filming Family Savvy? Because y'all spent a lot of hours over here. If you had to just pull one thing out of a hat that grabs onto your memory, what would it be?
So
I have one. I mean, I'll remember you were with me, Jackson. You might be about to say it with Cam when I lost my dog, and boy, you had to sit there. I didn't know what was going on. It was horrible. You got to see me at probably one of the lowest points. And like the whole time I knew you, but what was something you remember? Because you were with me first and for the longest.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a billion things you could talk about. I always kind of going from a only brothers family to you guys having only daughters. It was always interesting when you guys all, including Zane, all came together and I just got to sit back and watch how you guys interacted. I always thought that was funny or interesting or whatever adjective you want to put on that. But I always enjoyed like when you and Zane and Judd and Ellie and Emma were all in the same room together, and I was just like, what is this?
It's probably scary sometimes. What about you, Anderson?
I think like the first thing that probably comes to mind is like just having to deal with whatever Tucker did. I think like I remember I'd get so mad at him and like we'd be like in like a break and you'd be like switching whatever you were cooking or whatever. And I'd go like play with him in the backyard or whatever. He'd like take something he shouldn't have, and I'd have to like wrestle him, or he'd try to like jump up on me. And I think you told me like one time you're like, if you have to like take him down, like you can. And I think that was probably like the best day of my life because I just got to like I was so tired with him just like doing whatever, and I got to like just wrestle him to the ground. It was awesome.
Oh,
Um,
that's
Jamie, your
but
dog needs help.
yeah, I'll never forget. Speaking of the funny and the Tucker, is when the sweet team of they were from Mexico. They didn't speak English, and they were all over here working. And Tucker, I was not watching him, and he went out and he thought he was playing, but he was jumping up and he got something, and there was like a tug of war. And Anderson, you had just been you were working that day, but you
it
had
was my
just
signing day. It was
it
my
was your
signing
signing
day,
day, so you were
and
like
I
in
was in a suit. I
you're in a
was like in a suit and tie,
well,
and I
but
go
you
out there and
acted
I
like you were going to go take control. I have this on video. It's the funniest video. And you're walking out like you're, straightening your tie, like you're going to, take charge. You couldn't catch him. He was jumping around. It was just like, there's nothing we can do with this dog. But, last thing, what of all the time you spent watching all the Family Savvy content, what was one thing you learned that has made you more savvy in the kitchen or anywhere?
Yeah, I can do this. I mean, I've got some foundational. I'm part of it. My dad and my mom both cooked, so I don't want to give you all the credit, Jamie, but
Oh no, by any means, just a family savvy twist.
I have some foundational cooking skills learned from Jamie. How to cook. I mean, I cook chicken breasts just like the rest of them. Boiled eggs, all that stuff. I cook for myself all the time, but some of that was certainly learned from Jamie, and it's nice because I'd text you every now and
Mhm,
then and ask you a cooking question, and then
mhm.
you'll respond with a diatribe about it, which is more than you need to do, certainly. But I always appreciate when you get back to me.
Oh yeah, always. So boiled eggs and chicken breasts. So that's sort of what I left you with.
That's just what came to mind. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, that's
but
good.
there's something else. The pine saw or
Uh,
whatever.
Pine.
Yes,
It's just
Pine Sol.
it's a basic cleaner.
like pine.
Pine Sol. Yeah, that's it.
Pine
Is
Sol.
it pine saw?
I don't know. Did I ever talk about Pine Sol?
I feel like we
I
did a
feel
billion
like you
videos on it.
definitely have.
We did a
Well,
billion videos on cleaning your oven too.
yeah, we did plenty of that. So Anderson, so you're using Pine Sol in your dorm because
Pine saw that, and then the tuna salad. I could
oh,
cook a mean tuna salad
you're
because of
doing
you.
my
You don't
zesty
do you
tuna salad.
do you cook tuna salad?
Not in college, but
Salad.
I did this summer. I
Well,
don't
he's
cook in
got to boil
college right
eggs
now.
for it. He's got to boil
Yeah,
eggs for yeah.
I can boil some eggs. I'll tell you what.
That's
And
awesome.
I roll them out too, and then you
Yay.
whatever.
That's awesome. And I will say now I know what you're saying about Pine Sol. I said if you've just got 5 minutes and you got caught unaware and somebody's coming to your house, one thing to do is just swish some Pine Sol in all of your toilets and it will smell fresher. Your house will and then just sort of wipe down. So that's what I had forgotten that.
If I had to make a dessert, it would either be a bundt cake or strawberry brownies with lemon glaze, because I feel like
Oh, the
we've made
strawberry
that a
brownies
million
are so
times
good.
too.
Yay. Well, y'all know I'll make any of that for y'all anytime. And I hope y'all will come back and see me, Anderson. I think you are for sure when you come home for the summer. But guys, I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate the time you took to humor me and be on the SavvyCast. I really appreciate it. And unless y'all have anything else, I'm going to let you get back to your day.
No, it was an honor.
It's been a long time coming getting us on the SavvyCast.
It has. I've had to beg you all, and I will say I'm going to share y'all's social media, your Instagram. Y'all are the best.
Bye, Jamie. Thanks for having us on the pod.
Bye, Jamie. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Until next time, you all have a fabulous rest of your day. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the SavvyCast. If you'll take the time to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, that would mean so much. As always, thank you for listening and have a blessed day.